everyone, this is Steve. I am with you in another unsolved crime case. Stay with me. Tonight we are diving into one of Hollywood's strongest and most controversial murder cases. A story that sounds like a movie script, but it was all too real. He was a famous actor, known for playing a tough detective on TV. She was a woman with a complicated past, chasing fame and fortune in the shadows of Los Angeles. But one night in 2001, after a quiet dinner in a studio city, she was found shot at death. And her husband, actor Robert Blake, became a prime suspect. Was it jealousy, desperation, or a twisted setup? Let's break down what's really happened, from the night of the murder to one of the most shocking verdicts in Hollywood history.
On May 4th, 2001, a quiet dinner at an Italian restaurant in Los Angeles turned into the start of a Hollywood nightmare. The next day, Bonnie Lee Bakley was found shot in the head, and her husband, actor Robert Blake, suddenly became the prime suspect. This is the story of love, betrayal, and a murder case that gripped the nation. Robert Blake was a Hollywood veteran, once a child star, later known for Baretta and In Cold Blood. Bonnie Lee Bakley's life was the opposite: messy, controversial, and filled with scams and broken marriages. In 1999, Blake met Bonnie at a jazz club. Things quickly grew complicated when she became pregnant. At first, she claimed the baby's father was Christian Brando, son of Marlon Brando, but DNA tests proved it was Blake. Their relationship turned toxic. Friends said Blake felt trapped and desperate to escape the marriage. The tension between them was obvious, and soon, tragedy would follow. On May 4th, 2001, the couple had dinner at Vitello's in Studio City. Afterward, Blake claimed he'd left his revolver inside the restaurant and went back to get it. When he returned, Bonnie was slumped in the car, shot once in the head. He ran for help, but it was too late. She died soon after. Police found a World War II-era Luger pistol in a nearby dumpster, the murder weapon. But it had no fingerprints and couldn't be linked to Blake. Forensics found only trace gunshot residue on his hands, not enough to prove he fired a gun. Almost a year later, in April 2002, Blake was arrested and charged with murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. Prosecutors said he wanted out of the marriage and full custody of his daughter, Rose Lenore. They also claimed he tried to hire two stuntmen, McClarty and Hambleton, to kill Bonnie. Both testified against him, but their credibility crumbled. Drug use, mental illness, and contradictions filled their stories. The defense argued there was no physical evidence, no eyewitnesses, and no murder weapon tied to Blake. The case, they said, was built entirely on speculation.
Who was Robert Blake? She sat in the couple's car.
The victim, Blake's wife of less than a year, Lee Bakley, was killed by a gunshot wound to the head last Friday night.
Actor Robert Blake, star of the 1970s TV series Baretta, finds himself in the middle of a real-life mystery.
In Los Angeles today, police have acknowledged that the actor Robert Blake is considered a possible suspect in the murder of his wife.
It sounds like a made-for-TV murder mystery, but this whodunit is all too real.
Did find Blake responsible for his wife's death. Hudak also said in court she lived in Blake's guest house in 1995 and 1997. No date for the wedding has been set.
Actor Robert Blake is about to tie the knot for the third time.
Robert Blake is set to reprise his most controversial role later this year, while he was on trial for the murder of his second wife.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Robert Blake.
Prosecutors claim Blake hired a hitman, and detectives found $10,000 in his dresser drawer.
The trial began in December 2004 and lasted 3 months, drawing massive media attention. The defense planted doubt in every witness, even suggesting other suspects like Christian Brando. Though no proof ever surfaced, on March 16, 2005, after 9 days of deliberation, the verdict came. Robert Blake was acquitted of all criminal charges. Jurors said prosecutors couldn't put the gun in his hand.
Ruled anyone out as a suspect in this case.
Blake broke down in tears, a free man, but forever tainted. Months later, Bonnie's family filed a civil wrongful death lawsuit. Unlike the criminal case, this one required only a preponderance of evidence that it was more likely than not Blake was responsible. That jury found him liable for her death and ordered him to pay $30 million, later reduced to $15 million. Blake went bankrupt. Even so, no one has ever been convicted of Bonnie's murder. The truth remains unsolved. Why was he free in one court, but guilty in another? Because the evidence never fully connected. No fingerprints, no eyewitness, no conclusive proof. To this day, people remain divided. Some believe Blake got away with murder. Others think he was innocent, a man destroyed by scandal and suspicion. Robert Blake left the courtroom a free man, but never escaped the shadow of that night. Bonnie Lee Bakley remains dead, and her killer unknown. In the end, this was a story not of truth, but of doubt. And sometimes, doubt is all it takes to change a verdict.
So what do you think really happened that night outside Wheateler's restaurant? Did Robert Blake get away with murder? Or he was an innocent man, caught in a web of scandal and bad luck? More than 20 years later, the case still divides people, and the truth may never be known. One thing's for sure, in Hollywood, sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that really happens. Thanks for watching.